If you run a professional service firm doing a few million a year, you've probably already been told to get on Instagram. You probably ignored it because it sounds like a side project with no connection to revenue, and you're right to be skeptical. Most businesses who post on Instagram are chasing followers, not clients, and they get exactly what they aimed at. So I'm not going to tell you to post more. I'm going to show you the actual math that turns founder-led Instagram content into a predictable revenue lever. I'm going to show you the ROI calculator I'd use to model this for a client, put realistic numbers in it, and walk you through how a modeled $20,000 a month in additional revenue is actually built. But before all of that, I want to be clear from the first minute. That number is just a model, not a guarantee. It's what the math produces when you plug in reasonable assumptions for a business like yours. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to run your own numbers and see whether this lever is worth pulling for your own firm. Now, most founders ask the wrong question about Instagram. They ask, how do I get more leads on Instagram? And that question keeps them stuck in the vanity trap, chasing reach and follower counts that never show up in the bank account. The right question is much different. It's this: how do I turn Instagram into a predictable revenue lever instead of a project I feel guilty about neglect? What no one tells you is, if you already run a sales team and you're already buying leads, you don't have a lead volume problem at all. You have a lead trust problem. The people hitting your calendar don't know you, don't trust you, and treat you like a commodity. So they shop you on price, and half of them no show at all. Founder-led content fixes that specific problem. It warms a prospect before they ever reach out to your sales team, so the call starts from trust instead of suspicion. And when you can model what that's worth in actual dollars, the whole thing stops being a vanity project and starts being a business decision. So let's model it. This is the exact calculator I'd open for a client before we talk about anything creative. Because if the math doesn't work, the content doesn't matter. These are the exact 5 inputs I care about: leads per month, close rate, average client LTV, which is lifetime value, content pieces per week, and hours per week spent on content. Every other metric is not really related to what we're doing. Now let's first start with the average client LTV, lifetime value. For a professional service firm, this is your average client value over the life of their relationship. If you're a law firm and your average matter is worth, for example, just running any random number, $15,000. That's what goes over here. And for all these numbers, I'm going to just use a conservative numbers so nobody can accuse this model of being guaranteed, and all these projections are based on average benchmarks, so actual outcomes vary. Next is the leads per month. This is not how many followers. This is how many qualified inbound conversations the content generates in a month. People who actually watch your content, self-identified as your ideal client, and raise their hand. I'm going to put in 50 just for a modest number here because I'd rather just have average benchmarks marked in here. Now, the close rate. This is the number most founders get wrong in their own head. Your close rate on a cold paid lead and your close rate on a warm inbound lead are not the same number. A prospect who watched you explain their problem for 10 minutes before the call closes at a much higher rate than someone who clicked on an ad. Now, I'm just going to use close rate 20% based on the average benchmarks like every other number over here. By the way, if you want to sit down and map these exact numbers for your specific firm instead of my example ones, there's a link in the description to book a call. No pitch, just the real numbers on the screen. Now, these are the 2 operational inputs: content pieces per week and hours per week spent on content. This is where founders usually check out because they assume producing enough content to matter means 20 hours a week they don't have. So watch the hours you input closely. I'm going to set content output for 3 content pieces per week just for this average benchmarks, and 15 hours spent per week on content, including the research, editing, ideation sources, scripting, recording, all that. Now here on the right side are the outputs. Now the revenue impact over here is leads times close rate times lifetime value. That's it. There's no magic or any backend in this math. Now based on these average benchmarks numbers, this is kind of where it goes. I know I said 20,000 per month in additional revenue, but honestly it can go up to 60K per month based on the close rate improvement and all these other numbers of the average bench. Now I want to set this straight because I'm not going to give you random numbers. This is just a model number. It is more based on the projections based on these average benchmarks. And it's not a result I'm claiming a client achieved, and it's not a promise about your business. If your close rate is lower or your lead flow is thinner, the numbers can move. That's why this calculator exists. So you plug in your reality numbers instead of my own example. Now the content output over here shows the volume the system is designed based on the results that we have generated. And headcount savings and time savings is actually the model what it would cost you to produce the same output the traditional way with a hire or an agency, where the roles automated, a monthly savings of the experimentation analyst, the research analyst, the copywriter, and the performance analyst all can be saving around 25K per month just on those 4 roles. And hours automated weekly, if you spend 15 hours per week, you can easily automate 11 hours hours of that, and monthly hours recovered if you were to spend 15 hours per week on this content would be 48 hours per month. And this is the specific input everyone underestimates. Look at the hours per week spent on content number again, 15 hours. The reason a founder can drive that much content output on that few hours is the entire point of this next section. Now, the revenue number is only real if the leads are real. So let's talk about what produces them, because this calculator with no engine behind it is just a spreadsheet. Now, the leads come from founder-led Instagram content produced by this AI content department. It's 4 coordinated specialist roles, and each one does a specific job. Owen over here is the research analyst. Owen collects the topics worth addressing, the objections on the sales calls, the founder experiences, the fulfillment insights, consultation calls, and create content angles before the prospect actually rate. Now, for a professional service firm, this is absolute gold, because the objection a prospect has on a sales call is the exact video that would have warmed them up before it. Owen finds those specific patterns, angles, why it matters, what happened, and that's signal, and also attaches the source evidence to them so you can click through it and make sure that all the information is actually correct. Then a human actually sets the direction in all of these angles. That's me, or it's you and your strategist. Owen hands over you the research opportunities right here, and a person decides the angle, the audience, and what we're actually going to say. And AI doesn't make that call at all. The judgment about how your firm wants to be positioned stays human. Now, once the direction is proved, Miles actually uses all the information and all the direction to actually write the whole script. And if you're wondering, Miles is the copywriter. He works at the outline level first, like the structure, the examples, the verbal hooks, the on-screen text hooks, and different variations, which is the core main hook, the experimental hook, and the wildcard hook. And this is all created from the direction based on the sources, the angles, and the actual explanation behind the direction that the research analyst has given. This is what actually keeps the founder's hours low. You're not staring at a fully blank page. You're reviewing and just recording. Now, after that gets published, Nora, the performance analyst, actually measures the performance data. She compares what went out against the real data and flags the outliers over here, which are the pieces that outperformed every other video. And then Clara takes those outliers, which is the experimentation analyst, and she investigates why an outlier actually worked, forms a hypothesis on why it would work, and then isolates a single variable and validates which variable is actually worth performing, and then designs a controlled test and creates a conclusion on why the winning variable was found or not. And then when something wins reliably, then we go into the next step, and then all of this gets documented from a repeatable format. Now, Clara just doesn't pick the right strategy. She proves what's worth doing more of based on the actual data. Now, notice the loop. Owen finds the opportunity, a human decides, Miles writes, Nora measures, Clara tests, and the winners feed back in. That's not posting more. That's a content operating system that gets sharper every cycle. And that's how you fuel the calculator with leads that trust you. Now, I should be honest about what you're exactly looking at. This dashboard is a demo built on mock data. It's designed to show you how the roles coordinate. It's not scraping the entire internet or plugged into your private sales calls yet. The intelligence comes from both real signals you and I feed it together. Now, let me close this loop on this number, because I'd rather you trust me than be impressed by me. The $20,000 a month is just a model. It depends on 3 things I can't do for you. It depends on execution, meaning the content actually gets made and published. It depends on your existing sales capacity, meaning you have people who can actually take calls this generates. And it depends on your close rate, meaning your team can convert a warm lead when it shows up. If those 3 things aren't in place, this is just a nice looking spreadsheet. If they are, this is the most efficient lever you're not currently pulling, because you're already paying for colder leads that convert worse. That's the entire pitch, not spend more. Make the demand you're already generating warmer, so the sales team you already pay closes more of it. Now, here's the takeaway. Instagram isn't a vanity project when it's connected to a revenue model and fed by a real content system. It's a lever, and now you can run the math on it yourself. If you want to map these exact numbers for your specific firm, your real lifetime value, your real close rate, your real lead flow, there's a link in the description to book a call. It's not a pitch, it's just a conversation about your actual numbers and whether this lever is worth pulling for your business. If you're not ready for that yet, follow me on Instagram at AugustaGoodiPutty. That's where I post the full breakdowns on the system daily. And honestly, it's the same content engine I just walked you through working on public. And if this was useful, subscribe, because I'm posting new videos every week on exactly this.